What's up, guys? In today's video I want to talk about one of the biggest problems Unite probably still has to solve, which is Zapdos, right? Like, Zapdos is a problem, and it just has way too many things where it just becomes a gameplay problem. Like, I'm fully for Zapdos. I think Zapdos has to be an objective that, you know, can always decide the game in the end, doesn't matter what. Like, there has to be some comeback potential, right? For the enemy team. I just don't like how that comeback potential is happening, and how even a winning team can just, you know, just rip Zapdos on spawn and just do whatever they want. And I just think it's just not very healthy and good design, and we've been stuck for it for like a long time now. Of course, I'm just dealing with it, but there's certain games where they just feel so frustrating to have lost, and there's certain games where even though you won them, it didn't really feel rewarding, right? To me, they don't feel rewarding to win. I've never played a game where sometimes winning doesn't feel rewarding, and that's just, I think Zapdos is the issue for that. So, what's the problem with Zapdos? There's multiple things the problem, right? What is the real issue? The first one is that a team can just rush Zapdos on spawn and just nuke it down in like 5 to 10 seconds, right? And they can pretty much force, we call it a coin flip, but often it's not even a coin flip, because if you're in position, it's not really a coin flip, but they can force a coin flip on Zapdos, because Zapdos is not tanky at all. It just dies way, way too fast, right? Zapdos dies way too fast, you can just have Buddy Berries, you can just press Unite move, and Zapdos will die, it doesn't matter what. In those scenarios, Zapdos is going to die. Especially when we also have like Blissies, we see him pro play, right? I mean, just best example is Nouns Esports of Europe, they just do Zapdos, right? They have the positioning for it, they press Unite moves onto Zapdos, they have a Blissey, they pretty much just can't die doing it, and Zapdos is dead. So, I think that is very boring to watch, and really unsatisfying. I want to talk about some solutions for myself as well in a bit. I'm just going to first go over the problems, and afterwards I talk about my solutions that I would do to, you know, to make Zapdos maybe a more fairer thing and a better thing for the game, and just much more healthy. So the next problem is, right, last hits. The problem is that Zapdos is last hit based, and that also just creates very, very bad gameplay. You already know the Cinder Aces in your games, right? All those Cinder Ace players that stay in the top bush, they don't participate in the last 2 minutes, their entire goal is sniping Zapdos. I mean, that's how they win games sometimes, right? They're like, that's how I win games. I snipe Zapdos, Zapdos is the only thing that matters. I'm just gonna stay in this bush right here, my team dies, but I'm getting Zapdos. So I might just still win anyways. And the problem is that they actually sometimes win games like this, right? And I feel like it should just not be the case, that someone can just not participate in the last 2 minutes at all, wait for Zapdos to go down and just try to snipe it with a Unite move or something, right? Not doing anything. There's Greninjas, Talonflames, all those Pokemon Venusaurs that just don't even do anything, they just wait in a bush, try to snipe it, and yeah. So those is a problem. And then the last problem is also just like a random last hit, right? A lot of Pokemon don't have good last hitting potential for Zapdos, so an enemy can just walk up and get it. You know, it's like, why? You 1v5, why does this move suddenly get the objective that wins the game? It just doesn't make any sense, right? So let's talk about solutions, what I would like to see. My biggest solution is, and the one I would like to see the most, is a capture point, also for Dread on Rotom. If you don't know what a capture point is, I had the same in my old mobile Heroes of the Storm, where when the objective dies, right, Zapdos dies, there's like a circus spawning. Circus spawning where Zapdos is, and both teams have to get onto it. They have to get onto the spot and fill up a bar from left to right, like it has like orange and, you know, purple or whatever the colors are in this game again. They have like those bars, and if one team stands on it alone for like 3 seconds, they get Zapdos, they get the effect. But if both teams are on it, it's like a stalemate. The bar is exactly in the middle, and it doesn't move anywhere. So I think that would be honestly an awesome solution for like Rotom, Dreadnought, and Zapdos. You know, it would force a team fight. Like, the best team fights in my old game happened because of this point. People just rushing onto the spot, trying to get onto it. It would also force people to have better team comps as well, because then suddenly, like, if you don't have a defender, we might not be able to stand on the Zapdos point for a bit, right? It would also make defenders feel more powerful, because they're like, oh, I can stand the point. It would make Pokemon make like Snorlax much more interesting as well, and there would be more strategy around also like getting the capture point, maybe knocking people off of it, getting them off the point, right? Would create much more strategy, but it would be easier to understand it, right? You like, they have a Snorlax, they can push us out, so we can play full here, we can play around it, we can maybe kill him before Zapdos dies. Right now it's just like, you can't really control it. There's 5 enemies on the enemy team that can all maybe get a Zapdos last hit, and it's just much, much harder to deal with, right? Much, much harder to deal with. That's what I like to see. A capture point, again, and I think honestly might be the best solution. So you know, it just ends on team fight. Like, I want this game to end in a team fight. That's why winning feels so unsatisfying. Because sometimes I win without winning a team fight, and I think that's just not fun. I think the point of MOBAs being fun is winning a team fight in the end. You know, winning a team fight, getting over the opponents, and then, you know, trying to go for the score. Also, this would make early game story more important because you can actually die in those things, right? You can die in that scenario. So actually having points during the entire game would also matter much, much more. Because if there's like 4 people of each team dying in this one Zapdos fight for the spot, then there's not a lot of people that can go score, right? So it would make scoring also much more important. But if you actually win a dominant team fight, you're guaranteed to win, which I think is fair. If you were the team that's behind, but you win a team fight in late game, I think you deserve to win. I think it's just how it is, right? The enemies had a lot of chances to maybe have more experience lead, have better positioning, but if the losing team still ends up winning the team fight, then they deserve for me to win the game. So that's why I think Zapdos still needs to be a thing. You know, so that the losing team, if they win a team fight, can decide to close out the game. So I have another few other solutions as well, which is for the Zapdos just dying on spawn. I think a good system would be having the more people that are around Zapdos, like in proximity of Zapdos, around the Zapdos pit, Zapdos gains armor and, you know, magic resistance, or spell armor, whatever it's called in this game again. It's defense, special defense and defense, of course, that's what it's called. So the more people that are around Zapdos, the tankier Zapdos gets. So when there's 10 people around Zapdos, or even 5, it's much, much harder to take down. And why I say defense and special defense, because if you kill the enemy team for like, you kill 5 of them, 2 of you live, you should still be able to do Zapdos as 2, right? So, and then it's much, much squishy, much, much easier to take down. That's why I'm saying, you know, it should just get more defense. It shouldn't just have more HP in total. I think it should just have defense stats depending on how many Pokemon are around. And I think that would also be an awesome solution for, at least for the Zapdos insta-dying. Alright? Because I really just dislike that someone can just go to Zapdos and make a flip happen. I think it's just such toxic game design. Like, one team is losing the entire game, but Hooper can just portal them onto Zapdos. We see it in tournaments all the time. Hooper walks into the middle of the map, puts a portal onto Zapdos, everyone goes in, and they just hit Zapdos until it dies. And then, well, one team is gonna win randomly. I don't know if you guys enjoy that, but I just really don't. And another solution I would have is about the double point system, right? The double point system is also an issue. The double point system makes Zapdos such a strong objective. What if it's only, there's no double time, like only the middle base gives you double points, so that the team that actually has golds destroyed actually has an advantage going to late game as well. And the team that has not destroyed a single goal can't just get 1 billion points, you know, just by getting Zapdos. It would still have the insta-dunk, but every outer goal only gives normal stats, right? They only give 1 point, or like 1 point is 1 point, and not 1 point is 2 points. And only the middle base, so they have to open up the middle base to be able to score double points. And I think that could be on over the entire game as well. Potentially, maybe. Actually, no, probably be quite bad. Maybe just also last 2 minutes where the base, you know, gives double points. I think that could also be something. Again, I think my suggestions could also be completely wrong, or completely something, you know, like, what I'm just talking about. This makes no sense. It's bad for balance as well. And then I have another idea, is where Zapdos is like Rotom, okay? It walks, like after capturing Zapdos, it goes towards the lane that has the least points still not activated, and it walks towards down, like it walks either top or bot lane down, and it's gonna attack the golds and make them dunkable instantly. So you can't just go onto every point, and you kind of have to, you know, push your Zapdos into the enemy golds. I think that could also be quite interesting. And here, this is the perfect example of a game I'm like, we have been winning this entire game, and I just hit Zapdos here to get my opponents to get into the spot, and I'm gonna try and get the last now, and it just goes over to Blissey. Like, the enemies did not deserve to win this game in any shape or form. We just didn't have any last hitting for the Zapdos in the end. Blissey just walks in, uses the egg bomb in it. I'm just like, why am I playing this game? You know? Those are the moments I'm like, why? Why is this a thing? They got destroyed the entire game. Why am I suddenly losing? Just because I got the last hit on something that I couldn't really, like, I couldn't even do anything about it. Of course, I could have maybe kept my Unite move, but what's the point, right? Like, why are last hit characters or like damage abilities like so game deciding in this game sometimes? So yeah, I think Zapdos, like, either walking towards top and bot side, it gains a good amount of HP, it's gonna start walking down a lane, and it's always gonna keep walking through. It's gonna, you know, like in the capture game mode, it's gonna attack a goal, it's gonna electrify the goal, and you can insta-score on it. And the enemy team still has a chance of maybe defending it before it reaches the end base. I think that could also be quite interesting, and but I think it could also be hard to balance. But I really just want to see some changes to the game, and especially Zapdos. I just want to see Zapdos changes. Very bad. I had the same idea for Rotom. For Rotom, that if you take Rotom, it always walks into the goal. Like, you can only CC Rotom and you can start killing it, but Rotom is never going to stand still and attack you. It's going to walk towards the goal, and it's going to go in, unless you drop it on HP in time. I think it could also be very interesting Rotom change, and I think that could be the same for Zapdos, maybe making it a bit different. But I just really want to see a change to Zapdos. Maybe spice up the game a bit. And I really just don't want to see the World Championship get decided by who does Zapdos faster and who has the better last hitting for Zapdos. Because I just don't think it's entertaining to watch. I mean, it is very crazy sometimes, but I think the best professional games are where Zapdos like barely doesn't even die, and there's just team fighting over it, and neither team really gains an advantage to take it, and then it becomes like a, I have to go score, if I score we get ahead, if I score we get ahead, and I think those are probably the most entertaining games in competitive scenes, so I really just would like to see that. Anyways, let me know what you think. Again, this is not like a rant video, I just want to tell you my thoughts. I love this game, and I want to keep playing it. I just wish there would be different things on how this new game winning thing was handled. But I see you guys in the next video, hope you enjoyed it, and have a good one.